Good morning, friends. So let's talk today just about marriage. Recently, we've been talking to some good friends just about different aspects of marriage. And one of the recent conversations we had was about just being a peacemaker, bringing peace to our marriages. And we know that in the scripture, God calls his people to bring peace to their relationships. And this was really just a good thing for me to think about in the context of marriage, of bringing peace to my marriage and me offering that and bringing that into my relationship with Stephen. And a couple of scriptures that I want to look at today. First, I want to look at all those scriptures that we're going to look at today are going to be in Colossians 3. But first, I want to look at the verse that's in Colossians 3:13. And it says, "Bear with each other and forgive whatever grievances you may have against one another. Forgive as the Lord forgave you." And I like that translation, but there's one that I even like better. It's in the New Living Translation. And it says, "Make allowances for each other's faults." And wow, in marriage, how good that is, how peace bringing that is, to make allowances for our differences, to make allowances. It even says biblically to make allowances for each other's faults, but just to understand that we're two different people, that we think differently, that we operate differently, and to treasure that and to value that and to respect that and bring allowance for that. Not that the other person has to be like you all the time, but that you can make allowance, and how much peace that brings to our relationship. But let's back up a little bit. Right before that verse in Colossians 3:13, if you look at like Colossians, I think it's 3:12, that verse right there, it says, "Therefore, as God's chosen people, holy and dearly loved, clothe yourself with compassion, kindness, humility, gentleness, and patience." And then it goes right into bear with each other. And so there's a calling there, and I even wonder if there's a prescription there of how to bear with one another, is to clothe ourselves, is to cover ourselves with all of these good things, these good attitudes of the heart: compassion, kindness, humility, gentleness, and patience. And how if we clothe ourselves, if we're walking in those things, it is easier to bear with one another or to make allowances for each other's faults. And then I think about just practically, how do I do that? How do I clothe myself? Well, a lot of times I think that as I am connected to the Lord, as I am abiding in him, as I am meditating and soaking my heart on his word and just keep soaking day in and day out. You know, the scripture says evening, morning, and afternoon, that I would put my heart before the Lord several times a day, walking in these things. The fruit of that is the fruits of the Spirit. It's also this fruit that we see in Colossians 3:13 of compassion, kindness, humility. You think about just a kind heart in marriage and how much that brings life to the marriage, how much that softens the other person. If one person is walking in kindness, how much that changes the whole flavor of your relationship. And I know for me, I don't naturally walk in those things. I have to be before the Lord. I have to be walking in those things before the Lord. And one of the other practical things I like about this that I thought about recently was just a lot of my wrestling, especially in our early years of marriage, I needed to wrestle those things out with the Lord, not with Stephen. And as I wrestled, and even now, if Stephen and I are in a conflict, if I wrestle things out with the Lord first, if I process things with the Lord first, if I'm in his word first, there is often a good fruit in our conflict. There's often a resolution. There's often better understanding. There's often each one of us feeling heard by the other, and that's a good thing. But those are choices that I have to make before. When I'm hurt or if something happens in our relationship, I have to choose to step out of that and step into my relationship with the Lord in the sense of working it out with him, sorting it out, wrestling it out, letting his word reprove me, letting his word process things with me, so that I'm not coming to Stephen in all my flesh and in all my hurt and in all my anger, but I'm coming to him as a woman that really a wife that wants to communicate things to him, but that I'm understanding a bigger picture. I'm allowing myself to bring God's perspective into this conversation by me putting myself before the Lord. So those are good things that I want to work on and continue to grow in, and I hope that's encouraging to you. Have a good day.